Hey guys, Pretzelman 945 here. Um, Disclaimer for this video and the next few that I record. I've been sick recently, so if I'm coughing or have a stubby nose, that's why. Um, so, um, Recently I've been like I'd say in the past, uh, like 9 months, I've been trying to get into anime more. And um, I've watched some really incredible shows. I've watched Attack on Titan, um, all the Dragon Ball shows, which were all fantastic. Death Note was amazing. Demon Slayer was really good. Chainsaw Man was decent, but not my favorite that I've seen. Um, um, and Give me 1 second. Okay, yeah, that's all. And the one I'm watching Spy Family right now, very much enjoying that. In my queue next, in the notebook here, we have Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, then Sword Art Online, then Cowboy Bebop, and then Bleach after that. Um, and I'm also like long term. I'm also slowly getting my way through One Piece. I'm really enjoying that so far. And I'm going, and with One Piece, I'm going to make reviews of like the arcs, like episode amount. But the one that we're talking about today is one I just finished watching like a week and a half ago, and that is Hunter x Hunter. And man, let me tell you, Hunter x Hunter is so, so good. I've had quite a while to collect my thoughts on it, and wow. Hmm. Like there are just so many incredible things about this anime. I mean, to start, the animation is beautiful, and this OST is the best anime music of all time. And, and I genuinely don't know if any other anime is going to change my opinion of that. I mean, between Gon's theme and the departure intro and Killua's theme and all the different ending songs and Hisoka's theme and Leorio and Kurapika's theme and Requiem Arania of the Phantom Troop and Restriction and Pledge of Mirrorweb. Like there are so many absolutely banger songs in this show. Um, Absolutely my favorite OST from the animes I've seen thus far. Um, so the way that I want to structure this, I think, is I'm going to go through each of the arcs and kind of explain what I think and talk about the character development along the way. So starting off, I think the Hunter exam arc is a brilliant way to start out the show. I think this arc is really, really good. Um, but honestly, kind of underrated. It's not the best one. I think it's most likely second or third best in my opinion. I'm gonna like give my ranking of the arcs at the end of this video, but um, it does a very solid job of introducing all the characters. Gon is a very like typical, Gon is a very like archetypical protagonist. Like he's really good. Like he's a fantastic protagonist. Is introduced immediately to be this extremely lighthearted and hopeful character, like even more so than Goku and Luffy, which I didn't even think was possible. But like they somehow managed to write a protagonist that was like even more anime protagonist trope than other anime protagonists, which is um hilarious. I didn't like Leorio at first. I thought he was kind of annoying. And throughout the course of the show, he's yes, he has his funny moments, but beyond that, he's not particularly interesting and not my favorite character. I will be doing a character tier list of Hunter x Hunter very soon after this. Um, my favorite character off the bat was Kurapika because I thought that his motivations were incredibly interesting and like his stoic nature was super fascinating and definitely like I was thinking like okay, this is definitely something I want to see explored more later in the show. Um, and then there's the actual exam portion itself, which I think is very, very well executed. Each of the stages of the exam are very unique and interesting. And I just find myself really, really enjoying a bunch of the like high performers feats in the show and the amount of variety that they showcase in the creatures and different kinds of fighters is very, very interesting. And honestly, I kind of like one thing I kind of wish that the other arcs did as well as this one is like obviously there's better arcs than this, but I feel like this one um like really explored the world building a lot more than I think that's my favorite thing about it is like it really explored the world building a lot better than a bunch of the other arcs because like, there's just so many different locales and characters that you get to see in this, which I think is very, very interesting. Two final notes. Tomba is hilarious. I really like Tomba. Oh, and man, Hisoka, bro, his introduction, unparalleled awesomeness. I loved Hisoka. He's one of my favorite characters throughout the entire like either my favorite or second favorite character across the entirety of the show. Um, I think that about rounds up my notes for the Hunter exam arc. Next, we have the Death Arena arc, and this one doesn't have as much to it because it's only 12 episodes, but there's some decent stuff in here. It's a pretty good one, I think. I think the chief thing of note is the introduction to Nen. I think that the concept of Nen is very interesting, and it's put in a very good place in the show after like supernatural abilities had been hinted at in the first season during the Hunter exam, various moments of people using weird abilities. Um, like the way that they managed to like camouflage or not really camouflage, but like introduce those things subtly and then like explain what Nen is in this season was very effective. Definitely like the best part of this. Um uh, I did like Wing. Wing was cool. Um, Gon and Killua's friendship throughout both this. I didn't even talk about Killua in the first arc, but fantastic introduction there. His character only gets even better throughout this and the rest of the arcs. Um, Killua is like tied, is like back and forth with Ahsoka between like my number one and second favorite, my favorite and second favorite character in the show. Um, Hisoka, by the way, in this particular season is even more badass because we get to learn finally what some of his Nen abilities are and his connections to the Phantom Troop, and also we get to explore more of his personality and the way that Gon's fighting style develops in this season is very good. So this one's a solid arc, not as good as the Hunger Exam one, but it's still pretty good. And then we get to my favorite one in the whole show, season three, bro. The cream of the crop. This season just has a little bit of everything for me because it has like serious development for um Kurapika. It introduces the Phantom Troop in a magnificently awesome way. And it gives something for Gon and Killua to do that is relevant to the plot and also interesting. Um, like man, the development of Kurapika's Nen abilities are so interesting. Like his use of chains against the Phantom Troop is so interesting. And like the fact that he can just become like a specialist it's just like why, but I don't care because it's so freaking cool. And then um, Gon and Killua in this season, um, I like because they're like actively searching for Greed Island because Gon wants to find Jing. And so that's like an active part of the plot they're actually participating in, and it's actually like relevant, which I appreciate. Um, and then there is the Phantom Troop. Man, oh man, what a hell of an introduction. I mean, like these are people that are seriously built up as being dangerous and like crazy net abilities, and they do not they do not uh they aren't afraid the writers to like put this stuff on full display for how epic it is. I mean, like, there are so many of them that we could go through. There's like Paku Noda's unique ability. There's the guy with the sword that I forget his name of. He's also very fascinating. Um, there's the girl with the vacuum. There's one of my personal favorites, Phaeton. Um, the torturous dude. He might be my favorite member of the troop honestly. Another one of my favorites, Uvogin, like the big guy that also just like has such completely badass abilities, and then of course the main guy, Olo, who is such a good antagonist for this season. Like, man. And just like their interactions with the mafia are epic and like they're insane and the tone of this season is just like so like perfectly rich and dark and I love this season and oh my god bro when the classical music fucking hits and they just like raid the mafia building. Oh my god. Like that is like the best moment in the whole show. It's so cool. Anyway, I'm done. I'm done like raving about season three because it's exponentially the best. After that, we have Green Island, which is a very entertaining arc that features the nice developing of abilities, along with a return to many familiar characters, and also the team up of a lot of characters that would seem very unlikely but work really well. Like for example, right off the bat, like the Gon, Killua, and Hisoka like trio of people is like um crazy epic, and like the team effort is super cool. I also like the development of Gon and Killua's Nen abilities in this season, like the different aspects that this season introduces about like the different like techniques are very interesting. So you really like to see that. Um, and also the like the plot in general is just very interesting because it's so different from anything else in the show. Like just they're inside of a video game that's actually like a real life location is kind of like nuts. Um, And the fact that no like very few people have completed the game before is also super unique, and like the battle between all the cards actually gets remarkably tense, and the battle between Gon and Genther is really interesting, and also Killua's yo-yos are awesome. Um, Buff Bisky is the most cursed thing I've ever seen, and her as a character is like mid, I think. Um, and then we get to the big bad boy, and I think definitely the arc I have the most mixed feelings on, which is going to be the Chimera Ant arc. I think this is the worst of the arcs in terms because because it's basically like best to least best, not even like worst. This is the least best one because there are a lot of parts that are there are parts that are bad, there are parts that are very mid, but there's also parts that is like some of the best moments in the show in this arc. It's a very conflicting one and overall just kind of average. Um, but I guess to get out of the way my problems with it. I feel like it meanders a lot. There's a lot of like really pointless like plot lines in this arc that like make it to where it doesn't need to be that long. Certain like less interesting characters are dwelt on for way too long, and I also feel like there are a lot of very drastic tone changes in this arc, that really like throw the entire like feeling of it off. Um, and it's just very inconsistent. And Palm is the worst character in the whole show. I also feel like like before the king is born, um, is that it isn't like it's not explained very well, in my opinion, like why the ants can suddenly use dead all of a sudden, but then they just can. Um, there are certain squadron leaders that are alive for way too long, and also um, I feel like the concepts of the Chimera ants at certain points get completely ridiculous. Like the designs of them and what they're able to do. They just get kind of like very overdone. Um, but that's mostly negative stuff. The positive side is uh, Kai is a really fantastic character, and I wish he was in the storyline. Merwin is such an incredible villain. My God, the Royal Guard are all three of them incredibly entertaining and super interesting. Netero is such a complete badass in this season. Um, and like God and Killer's development is intense in this season in like the best ways possible. Um, so when it starts, I think like Kite is introduced as a great character to begin with. Um, and like the introduction bit of the Chimera ants is very, very interesting, and how like they slowly evolve is interesting. However, as that continues, I feel like it's taken too out of proportion to the point where it just becomes ridiculous. Um, and it doesn't like make a whole lot of sense consistently at a certain point. So that's like kind of mixed. And then Kite like loses his arm, which is very intense. Oh, I feel like it happens too soon. Um, and then basically like I didn't even mention Nova and Morel. They're also cool. Um, Morel is super super cool. Um, I feel like it. I feel like it's kind of like really tries to build up to where the king is born, but like that's where the meandering part comes in. There's a lot of like kind of pointless arcs, and there's also some really cool like net abilities from some of the ants that I wish were explored a little more. Um, Instead of just like being in like one or two episodes. But the fights across this are very epic. Like I said, I'm very mixed about this one. I could talk a lot about it. Um, Something like the ending was so good. Like the Meruem Hamugi end, that was so emotional and well like crafted. It was amazing. All the Royal Guard motivations were super duper unique and interesting. I love John's character development near the end, and his fight against P2 is insane. Um, and Netheros fight with the king. Holy cannoli! Like, why did they take so long to build up to that fight? Because man, that is epic. Um, and then not as much to say about season six because that's a very short one. Um, I think I think that one's definitely one of the more average ones. Like the hunter like election stuff was interesting enough. Obviously the big highlights from this season are like I think Alika's pretty interesting and Lumi's very cool. Um, and I'm gonna get more into the characters when I do a character here list like I normally do, but I obviously the big highlight is that final episode and in general, like the bonding between John and Jean is very very wholesome and kind of the more exploration of who Jean actually is because we didn't really see a whole lot of him. We just mostly like referenced as this figure necessary to the plot in earlier seasons. So, but overall, like considering everything like put together, like it's in it's the only way I can describe it as a masterpiece. It's absolutely incredible. Like so many characters that are just absolute like perfection in terms of like motivations, development, introductions, how they die, like everything like that. Like the characters, it just nails so hard. The plot is interesting enough, but like the main piece of it is definitely the characters and the character development. And also it has the best music of any anime. I think that's gonna about sum things up for me. If I had to rank the arcs, I would say from best to least best, I would say season three, then season one, then season four, then five, six, two, I think. Um, Thank you for watching, and I will have character tier lists coming soon. Later.